A young employee, cornered and overwhelmed, breaks down in the stockroom. But what happens when the real boss walks in and sees everything? Olivia Hart wasn't just the CEO of a nationwide retail giant. She was its architect. She had spent years building a brand synonymous with community and customer care, a name built on the backs of dedicated employees. But lately, something was poisoning that foundation. A rising tide of whispers, then shouts, captured in complaint after complaint, detailing toxic environments, disrespect, even outright bullying. The stories were unsettling, painting a picture starkly different from the company culture Olivia envisioned. Her regional managers, the eyes and ears supposedly on the ground, offered polished reports and smooth assurances. Everything is running smoothly, Olivia. Just a few isolated incidents, easily managed at the local level. Morale is high. Our teams are motivated, they said. But the sheer volume of the complaints, the raw emotion in them, screamed a different truth. The numbers didn't lie, even if the reports did. Olivia knew standard procedure, delegation, wouldn't uncover the rot. To truly understand the fear her employees were facing, she had to see it, feel it for herself. She had to step out of the executive suite and into the shoes of the very people whose voices were being silenced. The only way to truth was undercover. The first step was shedding the armor of the CEO. Olivia Hart, the woman who commanded boardrooms, disappeared. In her place emerged a new persona, unassuming, quiet, dressed in simple, casual clothes that would allow her to blend seamlessly into the background. No tailored suits, no statement pieces, just invisible. Olivia, looking distinctly different, stands outside a busy, mid-sized retail store in a bustling suburban plaza. She takes a deep breath, her face a blend of determination and slight apprehension. She pushes open the doors. She chose a busy location hours away, one where her face wouldn't be instantly recognized from corporate visits or company newsletters. Stepping onto the polished floor, the familiar scent of new merchandise hit her, but something else did too. On the surface, the store hummed with activity. Shelves were stocked, aisles were clear. But beneath the veneer of organized retail, a current of tension ran thick and unsettling. It was in the way employees moved, the way they avoided eye contact with each other, and with a particular figure patrolling the floor. Olivia's eyes land on Ella, young, maybe early 20s, nervously fussing with a display, her shoulders hunched. Then, her gaze shifts to Mark, older, stocky, with a loud voice and an air of impatience, barking an instruction across the aisle. Ella, a young employee with a nervous energy, was clearly trying her best, but moving with a visible timidness, almost fear. And then, unmistakable, the source of the undercurrent. Mark, a floor manager whose presence seemed to cast a shadow, his voice carrying an edge that made employees flinch. Olivia, now pretending to browse, subtly watches the interactions. She sees Ella jump when Mark approaches, sees Mark clap his hands loudly near another employee. The subtle signs of a hostile environment are immediately apparent. This wasn't the vibrant, positive workplace the regional managers described. This felt controlled, suppressed, and Olivia had just begun to peel back the layers. The truth was already starting to reveal itself, not in grand gestures, but in the quiet fear etched on faces and the heavy silence that fell when the manager was near. Olivia is now positioned discreetly, pretending to look at merchandise near where Ella is working. She isn't just browsing. Her eyes are subtly tracking Ella's movements. Blending into the background, Olivia watched. The friendly retail facade began to crack, revealing the fear beneath. Her gaze fixated on Ella, the young employee she'd first noticed. Ella's hands trembled slightly as she folded clothes, her movements jerky, rushed, leading to small, fumbling mistakes that she'd nervously correct. Her eyes darted around, avoiding contact, especially when he was near. Mark, the manager, is visible across the floor. He stops near another employee and speaks. His voice isn't shouting, but it's clearly loud enough to carry, sharp, dismissive. Customers nearby glance over uncomfortably. His presence alone seemed to tighten the air. Olivia observed him snapping instructions, not in quiet correction, but with a loud, impatient tone that drew uncomfortable glances from customers. He wasn't just managing, he was intimidating. The other staff moved like mice when a hawk is near. They averted their gaze. Their smiles looked painted on, shoulders tense. Conversations stopped abruptly if Mark came within earshot. The entire team seemed to be walking on eggshells, the stress palpable beneath the surface hum of the store. But it was Ella who showed the deepest cracks in the facade. As Olivia turns her attention back to her, she finishes something quickly, her face etched with distress. She glances towards the back of the store, then quickly walks towards the stockroom door, her posture defeated, almost as if she's trying to disappear. Several times, Olivia noticed her face crumple slightly after an interaction, or simply from the sheer pressure of the atmosphere. Each time, Ella would find an excuse, a task, anything to retreat. She'd disappear into the stockroom, her shoulders slumped, looking visibly distraught, only to reappear moments later, wiping her eyes, trying desperately to regain composure before the cycle of tension began again. As Ella disappears towards the stockroom door one more time, Olivia watches her go, a flicker of deep concern in her eyes. A beat later, the busy hum of the store fades slightly as Olivia moves discreetly towards the back. She pauses near the stockroom door, distinguished by a simple employees-only sign. A faint, muffled sound reaches her ears. The controlled chaos of the retail floor couldn't mask the raw emotion emanating from the back. Hushed at first, then unmistakable, the sound of muffled sobbing, trembling and broken. It drew Olivia like a magnet. She moved quietly, her senses heightened, the casual shopper facade dropping away, replaced by the sharp focus of a leader sensing a crisis. Olivia gently pushes open the stockroom door, slipping inside. The stockroom is crowded with shelves, boxes, and merchandise. It's dimly lit compared to the main store. The sobbing is clearer now. Inside the stockroom's cramped confines, the air felt thick and still, the only sounds, the distant store noise and that heart-wrenching crying. Following the sound, Olivia navigated the narrow aisles, her steps soft on the concrete floor. Behind stacks of boxes and forgotten inventory, Olivia finds Ella curled up on the floor, knees pulled to her chest. She is visibly shaking, hyperventilating, tears streaming down her face, a full-blown panic attack. Her breathing is ragged and desperate. Her face was pale, streaked with tears, her body trembling uncontrollably. The sound she made was less sobbing, more gasping. She was having a panic attack, overwhelmed and cornered by her fear. Suddenly, the stockroom door bursts open dramatically. Mark storms in, his face contorted with impatience and anger. He doesn't see Olivia immediately, his focus locked on Ella. Mark, in a loud, harsh, and dismissive tone, barked, "There you are. What the hell are you doing back here? Hiding again? Get up. We're swamped out there. Stop being so dramatic and wasting time." Ella flinches violently at the sound of his voice, trying to shrink further into herself, unable to speak, just shaking her head weakly. Olivia's eyes flash. The CEO persona, dormant until now, surges to the surface, though she keeps her voice level. The sudden, cruel intrusion shattered the vulnerable quiet. Mark's voice, sharp and devoid of empathy, rained down on the terrified girl. Seeing the manager's callous disregard for Ella's obvious distress, witnessing the very cruelty the complaints described firsthand, ignited something deep within Olivia. Her disguise held, but her silence broke. Olivia steps out from behind the shelves, placing herself protectively between Mark and Ella. Her posture is firm, her voice steady, cutting through Mark's tirade. "That's enough." Mark, startled by the unexpected presence of a customer or unknown person in the stockroom, turns sharply to face her. He looks annoyed, ready to dismiss her. "Who are you? This is employees only. You need to get out." Olivia, her voice low, firm, commanding attention without raising it, Responded, I said, that's enough. She's clearly in distress. She needs help, not harassment. Mark scoffs, recovering his arrogant demeanor. She's fine, just lazy, trying to get out of work. Now, are you going to leave, or do I need to get security? Olivia stands her ground, her gaze unwavering, a silent force of calm authority against his blustering aggression. The tension hangs heavy in the oppressive stockroom air. The confrontation has begun, and there's no turning back. Faced with the manager's arrogance and utter lack of compassion, Olivia knew this wasn't a situation for subtle intervention anymore. This was the moment truth demanded to be seen. Olivia's voice is calm, but carries an undeniable weight of authority that surprises Mark. I asked you to stop. She needs help. Now, what is your name? Mark still hasn't grasped the shift in power. He sees only a customer, interfering and bristles, his arrogance unchecked. Look, lady, I don't know who you think you are, but this is none of your business. My name is Mark, and I manage this store. And you need to get out of here before I call. Olivia doesn't let him finish. Her expression is steely, her posture unyielding. She takes a small step forward, her voice dropping slightly, becoming razor-sharp with command. Mark, the man whose toxic presence had poisoned the store, who had reduced a young woman to a trembling mess, stood ready to dismiss her. He had no idea who he was talking to. You manage this store, Mark? Is that right? You think this is leadership? Olivia asks. She then reaches in her pocket, not for a phone, but something else. Her hand emerges holding a simple, yet official-looking ID badge or card. She doesn't hold it up for a dramatic flourish yet, just holds it as she speaks. Well, Mark, my name is Olivia Hart. Mark's arrogant smirk falters. He takes a small, involuntary step back. Olivia continues, and I don't just manage this store. She lifts the ID card, holding it clearly. The light catches it. A corporate ID, her face visible, her title prominent. I am the CEO of this entire company. Silence. Utter, stunned silence. Mark freezes mid-sentence, his face draining of color faster than a pulled plug. His eyes widen in disbelief, then sheer, gut-wrenching terror. Ella, still on the floor, looks up confusedly. Suddenly, movement at the stockroom door. Other employees, drawn by Mark's loud voice initially and then the sudden, sharp silence, gather cautiously at the entrance. They gasp, whispering, their eyes wide as they see Olivia, see the ID, and piece together what's happening. The air crackled with a sudden, absolute shift in power. Mark's world tilted on its axis. The random customer he dismissed was the woman whose name was on the building, whose signature was on his paycheck. Around them, the other employees watched, breath held, in stunned disbelief. The hidden truth was out. The boss had seen everything. Ella is still on the floor, wide-eyed. The shockwave of the reveal silenced the room. The arrogance melted from Mark's face, replaced by the dawning horror of recognition. Before the stunned silence could break, Olivia acted. The change was instantaneous. The casual observer vanished, replaced by the decisive, commanding presence of a CEO. She turns her focus squarely on Mark. Her voice remains firm and steady, leaving no room for doubt. Mark, effective immediately, you are suspended pending a full investigation into your conduct. Gather your personal belongings and leave the premises now. Security will be contacted if necessary. Mark stammers, trying to form words, but no sound comes out. He just stares, frozen. There was no argument, no defiance left in him. The man who dished out cruelty crumpled under the weight of true authority. His career here, built on intimidation, was over in an instant. Olivia then turns her attention to the group of employees watching from the doorway. Her tone softens slightly, but the command is clear. Everyone, please inform the rest of the staff. There will be a mandatory meeting in the break room in 15 minutes. Lock the front doors if you need to. We need to talk. The employees nod, a mixture of fear and hesitant hope on their faces. They begin to disperse quietly to inform others. Olivia then kneels beside Ella, who is still distressed, but looking at Olivia with a mix of awe and confusion. Olivia's voice is gentle now, deeply empathetic. Ella, are you all right? Can you breathe for me? It's okay. You're safe now. She offers a supportive hand or a comforting presence. Ella tries to nod, still shaky. Let's get you some water, and I'm going to make sure you get any help you need. Okay? Medical, anything. This shouldn't have happened. I am so sorry you went through this. Ella manages a weak, tearful nod, whispering a barely audible thank you. Before addressing the wider team, Olivia offered a moment of quiet support to the employee whose suffering had brought her here. A promise that her pain had been seen and that action was being taken because of it. Olivia stands, taking one last look at the retreating figure of Mark being escorted away. Her face is determined. She then turns and walks towards a door labeled manager's office. With Mark removed and the staff meeting called, Olivia had one more critical step to take immediately: set the official wheels in motion. Inside the small, cluttered manager's office, Olivia sits at the desk, pulling out her phone. She quickly dials a number, her expression serious. "Hi, it's Olivia Hart. I'm at the suburb store. I need HR down here immediately. We have a serious personnel issue involving the manager, Mark." "Yes, that's serious. And I need someone to coordinate support for one of our employees who experienced a panic attack due to the environment here. I'll wait for you in the back office." Olivia hangs up the phone. The weight of the situation is clear on her face, but so is her resolve. Action has been taken, but the path to truly fixing things has just begun. At the store break room, the employees, a mix of those who were there for the reveal and others who were informed, are gathered, looking nervous and uncertain. Olivia stands at the front, having shed any remaining disguise, looking like the powerful CEO she is, but her expression is soft, serious. The shock of the CEO's reveal gave way to a tense quiet. The staff of the store waited, unsure what would happen next. This wasn't going to be a typical corporate meeting. Olivia surveys the faces in the room. Tired, scared, hopeful. She takes a deep breath and begins, her voice clear and sincere. "Thank you all for coming on short notice. I know the last hour has been a lot. What you witnessed, what some of you have endured, it is unacceptable. And I want to start by saying, I am profoundly sorry." She pauses, letting the weight of her apology sink in. The employees exchange hesitant glances. "My job is to ensure that every single person who worked for this company feels safe, valued, and respected. And I failed, utterly failed. I allowed a culture of fear to take root here under my leadership, and for that, I take full responsibility. I should have known. I should have done more sooner." She looks towards where Ella is sitting, nervously twisting her hands, looking down. Her unvarnished apology hung in the air, a stark contrast to the dismissiveness they were used to. Olivia created a space, quiet and earnest, where voices that had been silenced could finally be heard. "I saw some of what happened today, and I know it wasn't an isolated incident. Many of you have been dealing with this for a long time. Ella," Olivia addresses her gently, "would you be willing to share if you can? Only if you feel up to it." Ella hesitates for a long moment, then slowly looks up. Her eyes are still red, but there's a flicker of courage. "Ella," voice trembling slightly at first, but gaining strength, I always wanted to work here. Since I was a kid. It felt like a place where I could belong, where I could grow. It was my dream job. But," her voice cracks, tears welling up again, "it became a nightmare. Every day I was scared. Scared of making a mistake. Scared of just being noticed. It felt like walking on glass. You tried your hardest, but it was never good enough, and you knew you'd pay for it." A few other employees nod subtly in agreement, some whispering, "Yeah," or "that's how it was," under their breath. Olivia, listening intently, her heart aching, responded, "Thank you, Ella. Thank you for being brave enough to say that. I know you're not alone." She looks out at the other faces again, encouraging them without pressure. For those of you who saw this happening, who felt the tension, who were maybe even targeted yourselves, I understand why you stayed quiet. Fear. Fear of retaliation. Fear of not being believed. Fear of losing your job. That fear is the enemy of a healthy workplace, and it stops now. Another employee, maybe older and more hesitant, raises their hand tentatively. We tried. Sometimes we complain quietly, but nothing ever changed. It just felt easier to keep your head down. You didn't want to be the next one he focused on. Another employee quipped in. Yeah, he made it clear that speaking up had consequences. Lost hours, worse shifts. You learned real fast it wasn't worth it. Olivia listens to each person, nodding, validating their experiences. The dam is breaking slowly. The stories spilled out, a chorus of suppressed anxieties and daily indignities. It was painful to hear, but necessary. This wasn't just about one bad manager. It was about a system that had allowed it to happen. Then she responds, I hear you. All of you. And things will change. Permanently. This is not a temporary fix. First, we will implement mandatory leadership training for all managers, company-wide, focusing on respect, communication, and building positive teams. Secondly, we are completely overhauling our grievance procedures. There will be clear, safe, and confidential channels for you to report concerns, without fear of punishment. We will also be establishing a 24/7 support hotline for employees to get help, report issues, or just talk to someone confidentially. She looks at them, her gaze firm and promising. My priority, from this moment forward, is making sure this is a place where you feel safe, supported, and proud to work. Your well-being is non-negotiable. This is a promise, and I will personally oversee these changes to ensure they happen and they stick. You deserve better than what you've experienced. A wave of relief seems to wash over the room. Some employees smile tentatively, others nod, a few wipe away tears. The heavy burden of fear begins to lift. The air in the break room slowly transformed, from tense apprehension to cautious, fragile hope. The heart-to-heart wasn't just a conversation. It was the first breath of fresh air in a suffocating environment, a promise that the nightmare was ending. Weeks later, the store is bathed in bright, natural light. The atmosphere is visibly lighter. Customers are calmly browsing, and the hum of activity feels relaxed and friendly. Weeks turned into a month. The promises made in that small, stuffy break room began to bloom. Olivia Hart didn't just issue directives, she followed through. She returned, not as a hidden observer, but openly, to see the seeds of change taking root. The first difference was immediate. A new interim manager led the floor, supportive, approachable, fostering an environment of mutual respect, a stark contrast to the figure who once cast a shadow. And Ella, the young woman found broken in the stockroom, she was back. Not hiding, not trembling, but standing taller. More confident. The fear was gone, replaced by the quiet strength of knowing her worth, perhaps even stepping into a new role, guiding newer team members. Across the floor, the entire team reflected the shift. Shoulders were relaxed, smiles were real. The heavy tension had lifted, replaced by a sense of shared purpose and peace. Customers, sensing the palpable change in energy, seemed happier, their interactions with the staff warmer. This wasn't just a store, it felt like a community again. Olivia stands observing for a moment, a look of quiet satisfaction and perhaps a touch of emotion on her face. The transformation is clear, visible in every relaxed posture, every shared smile. It was a powerful reminder that a workplace is built not just on strategy and sales, but on the well-being and spirit of the people within its walls. The courage of one young employee, the darkness it exposed, and the choice to step into the light had transformed not just a store, but potentially a whole company culture. True leadership isn't always found in boardrooms or quarterly reports. Sometimes its most important test comes in unexpected places, like the quiet despair of a stockroom. It's about choosing to see the unseen, to hear the unheard, and to act with empathy and conviction, even when you're disguised. Because sometimes real, lasting change begins only when the boss walks in and truly sees everything.